Welcome to Garage Talk Unwrapped, episode 7. In this episode, we have more interviews from the UK Garage and BodyShop event and final interviews from the Schaeffler conference, including Colin Denton from Classic Car Garage. We also start our roundup from the IAAF Summer Conference, including renowned speaker Hamish Taylor and 2 BTCC NAPA racing drivers. We also feature TechFest at Wembley and a case study by Hella. Finally, eBay launch a brand new competition which you don't want to miss. Let's start with Mark Field, Chief Exec from the IAAF.
The first IAAF Summer Conference in 20 years. How's it been?
It's been brilliant, really good, really engaging speakers, obviously great interaction with the audience, really good. I think we've pushed some boundaries as what we wanted to do really about skills, training and recruitment. I think one of the big things, particularly towards the end in the panel discussions, we shouldn't be afraid to say things that sort of say, actually we do need to change, and to be fair, I think we are changing as an industry.
Why have you picked the people element? Obviously we know there's a skill shortage, but you're actually not concentrating on why it's there, you concentrate on what to do, aren't you, today?
I think it's just, I've been around a lot of businesses and you hear that these are the issues that they're facing, and I've heard about it and I think, well, why don't we talk about it? I think the thing is, we're massively ambassadorial about our trade. We're really big supporters and we're fans. We're not channeling that energy to get it out there into the wider market and to attract new people.
We just heard a very powerful panel discussion, and there was a lady on there called Tia who's experienced some horrendous things in this industry. But talking to the experts that were here today from the industry, how do you think that's going to change their mindset?
I think it sort of brings home the realities of what life is like for females in our trade, and I think that we have taken great steps as an industry. We'll need to do more, and we're on the start of that journey, and that's a positive. But the key thing for us is to keep people like Tia invested in our industry, and that's what we as the IAAF will look to try and do.
And if we are more welcoming to the female population, we're going to cut the shortage in recruitment issues, aren't we?
I think when you look at the whole sort of recruitment issue, there are opportunities where we can bring people in from other sectors, other industries. There's a lot of talent out there, and again, I think it's how you reframe our industry to bring these new people in.
So why have you gone to a summer conference? Is it because the message is that important? You need to be out there twice a year now?
I think as an IAAF is a very broad church at the moment. We've got a very widespread membership of suppliers, motor factors, garages, and we're talking to consumers with right to repair. I think that we have a December conference. We shouldn't leave it 12 months before we get together and say, right, we want to debate some of the real tough issues in our trade. And I think today, and thanks to everyone that has turned up and supported us, and to our sponsors, Alliance Automotive Group, we've managed to tackle those issues head on.
And you've always tackled issues head on, that's why you're in this role, isn't it?
Well, I hope so. So yeah, as I said, IAAF is a lot broader than it's ever been, and I think we shouldn't ever be afraid to push boundaries.
And it's been a big fortnight. We've had the UK Garage and BodyShop event, we've had this, there's other conferences going on all over. What are you seeing from the industry over this couple of weeks?
I think it's been it's been inspiring. We've seen the real market change, and if you are long enough to remember what that was like 10, 20 years ago, we're not walking around necessarily with the long faces that we used to, and the trade events that aren't as invigorating as they as they are now. So we're really pushing ourselves up. So we're starting to get to where we want to be in terms of, okay, we're a different industry now. We might be moving to computers on wheels. There might be more, obviously, technology on the vehicle than there's ever been before. We'll always meet that challenge.
For the IAAF as well is the best hub, and obviously you've got the training hub on board as well. That's quite an important part, isn't it?
It's massive. And one of the things, the training actually started because I didn't want almost our core membership to be neglected, which was the motor factor, because they've got the same issues as what a garage has, as what a supplier has. They've got people they want to recruit and they want to train, and we need to support them.
Back to where we started, close recruitment gap. One personal question from me.
Ask
You're
away.
the busiest person in the industry. How are you going to fit Villa's Champions League trips in with what you do in the industry, Mark?
Well, I've had a slight setback because they've moved my seat, so I need to go and buy my seat back again in July. But no, it's good. It's important. My children came today, so I think they came either because they've either ran out of money or they've not seen me for a few weeks. So they know how passionate I am about this industry, and that will hopefully, sort of go into those really, to them, to Jack and Emma, and obviously Lewis, who's 6.
Yeah.
But I love what I do.
Dan Rowbottom from NAPA, professional racing driver.
Yep.
You love the aftermarket, don't you?
I do. Without the aftermarket, I wouldn't be a racing driver at all. So I had a long gap in my career where we ran out of money, and working back in my dad's garage, family business. It gave me a lot of time to try and figure out where I could race and budget from. And ultimately, I turned to the aftermarket, automotive aftermarket, to find it. So I've had a partner now for 7 years, a company called Cataclean, fuel additive supplier, which is supported really, really well within the aftermarket. LKQ, GSF, AAG, obviously being primary now. They're a primary partner. So we've had a good run, but it is absolutely thanks to the automotive aftermarket I'm doing what I'm doing.
And how key is it to the whole of the professional racing drivers industry?
I think it's becoming more and more apparent now because, since NAPA have been involved in the British Touring Car Championship where I'm placed, there's a lot more heavy competition. I'd say like LKQ are spending a lot of money as well. BMW are still there, and it gives us the ability now to actually go and talk to the brands within the groups, so you've got all these aftermarket suppliers that are within AAG and such like, which it just opens doors that we didn't, when I was doing it without the big guys being there, it was hard because they were like, we don't need to do that motorsport stuff. Well, actually now, if you want to be top tier within AAG, then you can get involved in their racing program, and it helps promote the brand even further. So it's it really is interesting. So it's key. It really is key.
But of course, we all look at the top of Formula One, Lewis Hamilton, George Russell. Yeah. You don't just get there, do you? You have to do your training, the BTCC. And
Formula One's difficult because you start at such a young age. Like I started karting, Ash, my teammate who's here today, also started karting, and Formula One, you've got to be very talented. Yeah. But you need a lot of money. Like when I was 16, 17, the route was Formula 3, GP3, GP2 to get to your Formula One test drive seat, and that was about €15 million back in 2006, 2007. So you've got to either be very well heeled or a really good corporate partner. British Touring Car is no different, but the numbers are smaller. Yeah. So ultimately you've still got to do your time. You go through the support championships. So I came through Clio Cup once I returned to racing, and we got there in the end. But ultimately it is only through having the right partners. Cataclean, as I say, we've been working together since 2017 now. Really, really pleased to say we've grown together. As we've gone up through the ranks, if you like, in British Touring Car, and ultimately found our home with NAPA Racing. It's been fantastic, and we've learnt a lot along the way. So And
I think also a lot of people again look at the top Formula One, but the circuits don't survive without your competitions, do they? That's a massive part of the economy.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Formula One comes to the UK once a year. Yeah. British Grand Prix next month, which Ash and I will be. That's our holiday. That's our weekend off. We have a few G&Ts, but Formula One's only here once a year. So British Touring Car is the next biggest thing in the UK. Obviously British Superbike as well. That supports the circuits really well. But I mean, it's such a big part of the motorsport ecosystem what we do, and it's really important.
So tell us about your season.
We're having a terrible season. Ash is having a great season. Ash is leading the championship, but I'm personally having a really bad year. We don't know why. Put a lot of effort in this winter. I've shaped up. I've lost 12 kilos of weight and got in the gym, and actually I think started the year looking like a racing driver rather than not looking like one. But we've just had a terrible year. But sometimes with British Touring Car, you can't take it personally. Yeah. It ebbs and flows. We're in a really bad period at the moment. We've got one more round before the summer break. Alton Park in a couple of weeks' time, so we just got to hit the hay hard and come back after the summer round to go.
But do you learn more by these poor times? I know they're not easy, but you actually learn more, or you can learn more and come back stronger.
Yeah, I mean, they say it's character building, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, I'm racing a long time now. I know nothing's permanent, and class is permanent, form is temporary, right? All that carry on. So you have to just be aware that your time will change, and we just got to ride it out ultimately. And I'm quite a stubborn person, so I won't give up until I've done what I set out to achieve. So
And what have you set out to? What's your life?
I want to win the championship. That's the goal. It's not so much for me anymore. As I say, I've been really, really lucky with My sponsors, Cataclean, have been fantastic. You know, without them, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. They deserve that. You know, I sold this into them as I could win this championship, and I very much determined to. And then obviously my parents as well. You know, they've given up 30 years of their life so I can do what I'm doing, and it would be a real. I don't think I'd be able to live with myself if I gave up before I achieved what I promised them I could do.
So is it win the BTCC and then retire, or is it BTCC and then another goal?
Yeah, no, BTCC and then another goal. I don't want to retire. You know, I had 10 years away, so you know, for me, I mean, Ash will tell you I'm a lot older than him, which I am, but I'm not a lot older. I'm 5 years older. Yeah. What's 5 years these days? You know, yeah. Keeping fit. I mean, I'm a lot fitter, so my actual metabolic age is probably about 25, and he's about 55, so that's fine. But ultimately, no, I've got no plans to retire from motorsport for a long time yet.
Ash Sutton, NAPA professional racing driver, BTCC. I've just heard you're having quite a good season.
It's not going too bad. We're 4 rounds in, still leading the championship. So, I mean, coming off the back of winning the championship last year and to still be leading now is a pretty good effort so far.
Is there more pressure this year with you being champion?
Definitely more pressure. I mean, it's every year goes by, every championship you get, every race win you get, people expect more every time. So, yeah, it's never the case of stand still, let it come to you. You've always got to keep pushing yourself, and that pressure builds and builds and builds.
How did you reset? Because obviously, last year, it's a goal that you've set yourself. How have you reset for this year?
You have to sort of reflect on what you went out and achieved, where things went wrong, where things went right. Pull the layers back, pick out the bones, and then hit the reset button, and then hopefully you've got rid of all the bad news and you can start fresh and move forward. So as much as you look at yourself, the team are looking at the car, they're looking at how we can improve the package, and you combine all that together and you hope you hit the ground running.
And obviously, a lot of your work goes on in the winter. The summer's the enjoyable bit, you get to drive the races, etc. So how quick did you get into that once you'd won the championship?
I'll be honest with you, it doesn't stop. I mean, off the back of last year, we went to a few prize givings, award nights, etc. And you sort of reliving the memories, if that makes sense, of that year. But come sort of late November, December, you're already worrying about the following year. You're straight into the work, whether that's on the sim, whether that's working with a team closely. The guys don't stop with the car. So, the off season is definitely busier than on. I mean, it's quite relaxed once we get going and we're racing. We're kind of rolling into each weekend. But the build up, making sure we're doing all the appearances for example, in NAPA Racing UK, all the meet and greets and stuff like that. That's it's an intense environment.
And of course, everybody sees the top of the sport, Formula One, etc. Then all the commercial deals are out there. You've just battled as hard as a Formula One driver, what competition you're in. How does that affect you commercially? Because you said about the appearance, etc. What's the expectations?
Yeah, I mean, commercially, your name just builds and builds and builds. Ultimately, the way I look at it, the more success you have in the motorsport world, then your name is more recognisable outside of that. So connecting with brands, partners, and building that portfolio is where we really focus on, and that's when you start to notice or utilise the benefits of having the good results. But yeah, that comes from, like I said, the race wins, the championship. So it's a tough environment, but commercially we do notice the benefits of it. Of
course, there's benefits, but also it affects your time. It affects perhaps your energy levels. How do you fit it in to what you've done last year? Because you're not going to change anything you did last year. Is it just extra work that you've got to take on? Yeah, extra work, and like a lot of us drivers, we might have a sideline business as well, which obviously does get in the way, if I'm honest with you. Ultimately, my main job role is being a professional racing driver, but I've got a simulator business in the background. But trying to juggle them two is always my biggest struggle. But in terms of actually moving forward and improving on myself, yeah, you've just got to look at yourself and look where you can push that.
For tools and machinery, come to Machine Mart. Experts in our 65 superstores help you choose from the vast range, including air compressors, tool chests, stoves, welders, generators, water pumps, heaters, power tools, and much, much more. Or just order by phone or online. Look out for our money-saving special offers. Our free catalogue contains hundreds of price cuts and great new products. Or visit our website with thousands more specialist products in Machine Mart Extra. Shop in-store, online, or call.
Colin Denton, Classic Car Garage, North London Garages, absolute godsend to this industry.
Thank you.
What a talk this morning. How do you enjoy talking to the industry as a whole?
Well, I always enjoy talking to the industry, and a lot of it stems from that conversation I have with my apprentices. So that talk given today is a conversation that actually goes on for about 4 hours. And we really drill down into different aspects of what I've done and why I've done them. And as part of their information, advice and guidance to apprentices, it's about what do you do when you finish? Because really that's just the start of your next phase of your career. So it's important that they can look at the industry, where it is now, what their role is currently, but what could that role look like in the future? Because the main thing is I don't want them to leave. I want them to stay in the sector.
And that's why I say a godsend, is because what you came through as a child, your upbringing, the toughness of the UK, we're not getting that sort of mentality through to the apprentices these days, are they? You're trying to tell them this is how it is. You've got to go out there and battle, aren't you?
It is, and you start off at a point, but we're all starting at the same point. It's just that sometimes it's a little bit easier than others. I know some people have had a really tough apprenticeship program, but it's about setting yourself up before you start the apprenticeship, speaking to people so that they can tell you what that apprenticeship is all about. What are the good bits? What are the bad bits? In the winter, it's really cold. In the summer, you're too hot. There's no equilibrium there. So you just make it work for you. And as long as you know what the pitfalls are, you will have a successful apprenticeship.
And this is what you're trying to tell, isn't it? That because the way you've been brought up through the industry, you're trying to tell people how it is, so they don't have to experience that, but they can use it to shape themselves.
Absolutely. And everyone's got their own story. And some stories are, well, it didn't go well for me because I don't have all the answers. But for each person that comes along, for each apprentice that I have, that if you sit and talk to them after a year and a half, 2 years in, they tell the same stories that I had. And then the next person has got a very similar story. But what we want to do is to let them know that things have changed slightly. You know, it's a lot better for them now as apprentices than it was for others 20, 25 years ago. And employers are more aware of what the needs of the apprentices are. And so they change and modify their own programs at work to make sure the apprentice becomes part of what they actually deliver every day.
What makes you stay in love with the industry as you've been in it for so long now?
I don't know. I think there's something wrong with me.
You don't look old enough to be in it as long as you
Oh
have.
dear, there's 45 years plus, and I still love it as much now as I did as a child of 5, 6, 7. Cars have evolved, cars have changed, and I suppose the only way to stay in the game is you evolve and you change with it. The Classic Car Garage means I can go back in time and I can still play with the old cars. But I have to be acutely aware that my apprentices, they don't want to see me playing around with a giant stag and so this is the car, here we go, we're going to balance it up. And no, we don't want that. They want modern, and their employees want modern. So for me, it's been able to balance both sides. The love will always be there. The passion will always be there. I can't change that. I don't know what I'm going to do.
The classic car, obviously you've got the fantastic TV show now, and does that take you back and just remind you of where you've come from, the way the industry's evolved, etc.? Does it take you back that far?
It is something that I'm so pleased I started doing before the TV series, because the nostalgia is there, and the camaraderie with people when they turn up. We recently had Ladies' Day, and for the first time we've had all the ladies turn up, some dressed in white overalls, which is absolutely brilliant, as long as they didn't mind getting greasy.
Yeah.
But they got absolutely stuck in, and it's about giving something back. So it doesn't cost me very much, so I don't charge for it, but it makes people very happy. Nostalgia, yeah, 100%.
And when you think back now, and you think of where you've been, and the cars you've seen, and etc., and where we are now, better then or better now?
Oh, that is so difficult. It's so difficult to say. If I'm 18 to 20 and I'm an apprentice, it's better now. If you're my age, well, actually, it was better then. But personal choice, I'd like it the way it was, but I can't have that. So enjoy that moment. But if I have to say now, where are we going? The future looks really, really good. Even though we are looking at more electrified vehicles, But I still think there is a lot of arguments for the pros and cons. But I think in the future, that's where we will go.
And I think the key now is that people come in the industry now, these EV vehicles will be classics in a few years' time.
Yeah.
So they'll be back to where you were.
Well, I keep saying to the apprentices now, you are in an enviable position, because in 15 to 20 years from now, if you're still in the business, somebody's going to say to you, what would you like to work on those petrol engines? What's it like working on those diesels? I mean, and in 100 years, people will be saying, well, hold on, you got into a vehicle and you poured a flammable liquid into an engine, and then you ignited it and it exploded, and you sat on a tank of flammable liquid being pumped into this engine. Are you mad? All of these things for us to look at, what's going to happen in the future. But for our apprentices, they've got petrol, diesel, hybrid and electric, that in 20, 25 years from now, they will be the only people possibly that can repair them.
Hamish Taylor at the IAAF Summer Conference. You've just given a fascinating talk. Tell us about yourself first.
Sure. Well, I've got a bit of a mixed career, really, in two halves, I think. I mean, I started off in Procter & Gamble, so wonderful world of consumer goods, and what I don't know about toilet cleaning is not worth knowing. And from there, I moved into service industries. So I was head of brands at British Airways and got to do some exciting things like putting beds into aeroplanes and trading in toilet cleaners for Concorde, which was a slight step up in brands, I think. And then moved into chief exec roles, first of all with Eurostar, so the high-speed trains through the Channel Tunnel, and then after that, Sainsbury's Bank, the world's first supermarket bank. And that took me through the first half of my career. And since then, I've been working with organisations around the world on the global speaker circuit, really, talking about exactly the principles that I took people through today.
And of course, what you've learned at those corporates can see any business through anything, can't they? And that's what you've been trying to say to the conference today, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think that the challenges I had in line management were very much about going into organisations where they were very product-led. It was all about our technology, our great products, our people, if it was a professional services. Whereas as my philosophy and what I learned was the only way you could turn those around, either for growth or turn around a problem, was by putting the customer genuinely at the centre of that business. So all the work I do is what I call customer-led transformations. So it's how do you, basic soundbite, if you like, is it's not about you. Okay, your success is not about you. Your success is about how you interact with the world around you. So start out there looking at what success looks like for that world, and then bring that back into, well, what are the implications for you then about what you could do better to serve that? So the whole work I do is around how do you genuinely put the customer success into the centre of what you're doing in your business.
But you didn't just say about outside businesses, you said internal to a business as well, didn't you?
Absolutely, yes. And because the principles behind it started off thinking about it outside, but what I discovered on the way through was that actually the same principles apply to internal customers. So if I'm talking about what's the benefit to the customer of our product or service, equally you could say, what's the benefit to the other department of working closely with my department? What's the benefit to my boss of me being good at my job? Because the boss the boss isn't really interested in whether you're good at your job. The boss is interested about how you being good at your job helps him or her in achieving what they want to achieve. So why not? So that should be your agenda to work to, should be your boss's agenda, if you like.
Yeah.
So it works both internally and externally. And certainly you find that if you want to really put the customer into the centre of an organisation, the challenge is not, actually the biggest challenge is not working out what you need to do for customers. You can get there fairly quickly. The biggest challenge is how do you take the rest of the organisation with you on this new journey? So the internal customer bit becomes just as important.
And one thing I noticed there is you talked a lot about HR people, because usually they're the people trying to glue it all together, aren't they? Are they the centre of this? Are they the people that you really need to talk to that they can get that philosophy through the business?
Absolutely not. No. I think it's got to be everybody, and it's got to be a line management role. You can't, as a manager, you cannot abdicate responsibility for managing your people or managing the customer. You can't say, oh, that belongs to HR. There's two things going on. Number one is that the role of HR is not clear enough. HR's role should not be to impose competence frameworks and appraisal systems on people. It should be to help me do my job better and my people do my job better. But secondly, you do notice that this idea of putting the customer at the centre is the bit that's missing in a lot. And it's not surprising. What do you do at your desk every day? Of course, that's what's in the top of your mind because it's what you do and the skill sets you bring or the products you bring.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising that we get caught in a trap of talking about that rather than talking about, as a result of us being great at this, what does that mean for my customer? So I think it's right through every industry and right through lots of organisations. We've got to learn to start talking about the customer's agenda. I was working with a big professional services firm recently, and I said to them, I said, look, actually, audit, tax, whatever, that's your business. It's not mine.
Yeah.
I want you to come and talk about my business and what I'm trying to do, and then show me how you can help with that. So it's about changing. It's a language thing as much as anything, but it's also a mindset thing that says my job is to help you do your job better, not my job is to tell you how great I am. That's the difference.
Yeah, of course it is. And then, of course, that's great. You get your internal factors right. The key then is how you portray that message to the customer. One thing I picked up on was the business card is of quite importance on what you put on it. Tell us about that.
Well, I think it's just it's a way of getting people to think slightly differently. So all I'm saying is, even when you look at a business card, it normally has a person's name and underneath it their job title. Director of this, manager of that, whatever it's going to be.
Business cards down.
Right, good. Yeah, that's what it normally has.
Yeah.
And all I was saying is, what this philosophy says is, actually, that's not your job. Your job is to provide the benefit to the other person. So what if instead of your job title underneath your name, it had the benefit I bring to other people as a result of being good at my job? So, I once, I was working with a secretary, a PA for a chief executive at one point, and I was talking to her and I said, so what's your job? And she said, my job is to make my boss look good in front of this board and in front of. And I said, great. So what we've got on her business card now? I think she's got it's not PR manager, but it's something like that. She's got. Oh no, that's right. She says I'm my boss's spin doctor. She said, and so instead of saying secretary, now it says spin doctor underneath her card. And that's the point. It's about recognizing. It's about bringing a benefit to somebody else. It's not about what you do.
And there's not many people that think in that way, is there, in the whole of the business world?
No. I mean, of course, there are many who do that and do think that way, and it's great. And it kind of emerged, that kind of thinking, really, originally in consumer goods, where someone like Procter & Gamble, all of their brands would be based on a benefit to the customer. So they were thinking external customers. But to be fair, it's quite easy to do it in consumer goods because every bottle of Fairy Liquid is the same as the previous one. When you get into service industries, of course, every customer experience is different. So you have to check, it has to become more of a philosophy of working. And I don't see it as much as I'd like to. I mean, but hey, that's what keeps me in a job. So fair enough.
No, that's it. And so what do you find about the UK market as a whole at the moment? Because obviously you're in a lot of business, talking to a lot of business. What's the feeling out there?
I think a lot of them are still in recovery mode. A lot of it is still, I think, people who are feeling that, COVID wasn't that long ago, cost of living crisis, things like that. But I'm optimistic. I'm the eternal optimist. My view is, listen, I've managed some pretty bad crisis situations. Like Eurostar, we were losing hundreds of millions. The tunnel was shut because of a fire. The French were on strike. It's like the old Monty Python sketch of, I grew up in a cardboard box. But no, I've managed crisis situations, and always, without fail, the only way out of it is to put that customer at the centre. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, that's why you exist. I mean, I used to sit on risk committees, in businesses, and they talk about all the risks for the business, and they talk about regulatory risk or IT risk or all these sort of risks. And I used to say, look, there's one risk that is above every other risk. Customer risk. If you've got no customers, you've got no business. So it's all very well to have a good IT system, but you've got no business. So the customer bit has always, for me, been the solution to any of these crises. And I've seen it, not just in work that I've done, but I saw it like at British Airways, in the early 90s. That's exactly what Colin Marshall did when he was running British Airways. They were in the recession at the beginning of the 90s. He invested in the customer during the downturn. So when things started improving, BA recovered much quicker than anybody else because they'd actually worked on the customer part during that thing. And in a lot of industries, the pride is in the skill set, whether that's professional services, accountants, lawyers, or whatever, or whether it's more technical industries. And that's laudable and it's great, but so what? Yeah. For the sake of what are you great at these things? And that's what your customers care about.
I think on that note, well, thank you for today. It's been educational. If you do get a chance to listen to Hamish, please do go and listen because there's far more content than he's just said.
Oh, that's very kind.
It's amazing. Thank you,
Thank
Hamish.
you very much indeed. No, thanks a lot.
eBay's Van Conversion of the Year Awards is back for 2024 to celebrate the finest examples of van conversion projects from across the country. Once again, there's another £10,000 cash prize up for grabs. To be in with a chance of winning, all you have to do is answer a few simple questions and share some photos of your van build before the deadline. Now, as head judge, I'll be leading eBay's expert team of specialists as we choose the overall winner. Now, we're looking for van conversions of all kinds, from the perfectly kitted out trade van or camper to something as wacky as the ambivalence that won last year. Now, since last year, eBay have been working unbelievably hard on their very own van conversion. And this is it. The eBay Lounge. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a 1975 ex-German fire service Ford Transit that's been converted into an all-purpose vehicle that you can see at some of the biggest UK automotive events. If you think your build has what it takes to be eBay's Van Conversion of the Year winner for 2024, then we want to see it. Who knows? You could end up driving away with £10,000.
You're educating customers, aren't you? Tell us about it.
Absolutely, Ben. So we're here today to talk about our whole product range, but primarily we're here to talk about belt in oil. So we have wet belts that run in oil. They're fitted to the Ford EcoBoost, the 1 litre EcoBoost engine, also the 1.2 PSA PureTech engine, and our newest belt in oil is on the 2 litre EcoBlue Transit diesel engine. So we're just here really to educate the garages about why we have belt in oil, the technology behind it. We also recognise that we have had some deterioration of the belts on some of the engines, so we're just here to explain why that's happening and what we're doing to kind of combat it for the future.
And your belts are unique, aren't they? Tell us about the uniqueness of them.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things about our belt that's unique. So first of all, I'm just going to put this one down for the moment. This white belt is a PTFE covered white belt, so polytetra fluoroethylene covered belt, and this is unique to Dayco. We're the only people that have the white coating on our belt. It's a patented technology. This essentially helps for load and wear resistance, and it also reduces noise, vibration and harshness within the timing belt system. So all of that means that it prolongs the life of the components that it works with, and it also reduces emissions down as well.
So actually saving people money in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, it prolongs the life of the other components in the system because there's not so much noise, vibration, harshness, which is critical. And because obviously it does help to reduce emissions, it means that your owner driver is going to be putting less fuel in the vehicle, and it's great for the environment too.
And Dayco are really driven towards zero emissions, aren't they, at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Again, several of our unique products and components are, in relation to reduction of emissions and obviously driving down emissions from vehicles. I mean, we do make components for internal combustion engines, but we'd like to be able to contribute to making those internal combustion engines as clean and efficient as we can do.
And how's 2024 been for you?
We've had an absolutely great start to the year, the first 6 months of the year. I can't believe it's that far along already. We've been very busy. We absolutely, out on the road all of the time, seeing lots of garages, going out to do workouts and promotions with our Motor Factor business customers as well. So yeah, it's been really good. We've been very busy and continue to be. So.
And while you're out on the road, what's the feedback from garages about this year?
I mean, they're still really busy. I mean, everybody is expecting at some point to have either a lull or a bit of a drop off from COVID days, and it doesn't seem to be slowing up. It seems to be a continuation. In fact, one of the things I get, I have conversations about a lot is how a lot of both motor factors and garages are incredibly busy, but struggling to get staff to kind of help with taking the load off a little bit. So yeah, everybody's still incredibly busy.
And that's a theme through the industry for the last few years. What doesn't seem to be happening is we don't seem to be moving towards a solution.
Sure.
How are Dayco approaching that?
I mean, we really believe in going out and going into colleges and really talking about the great things about the motor industry and how you can start off in one place, and that can mean, opening the doors to lots of opportunities. I started as a car mechanic, I trained as a technician, and when I started my career, I didn't expect to be working for an OE manufacturer, and I travelled to various different places. I had offices in Italy, and I spent a lot of time going to Ireland and seeing my customers. And I guess it's really just sharing with the colleges and the younger people that we see that Being a technician is absolutely fantastic. It's a great job, and we don't want to pull anybody out of that, but it doesn't mean that you can't look elsewhere in the industry. There's a lot of opportunity out there. So.
And it must be catch-22 for you, because you want youngsters coming into Deco to obviously carry on, but also you want the youngsters going into the garages because they're buying your products, aren't they?
Exactly. I mean, you know, that's exactly the thing, is to kind of showcase that the industry isn't the horrible, dirty, smelly industry it used to be. In fact, it's, you know, the technicians, they have to be so switched on and you know, so sort of moving with all the technological times and all the innovation, because everything moves so quickly in our industry. It's absolutely vital that we have young people that are, you know, really engaged with, like I say, innovation, to be able to carry on and be working on our vehicles that are absolutely loaded with technology. So yeah, it's vital.
And of course, we need to open up the industry to more areas of the employment as well, female, ethnic communities as well.
Absolutely.
Because there's so many skills in them areas as well, isn't there?
Absolutely, inclusion is absolutely critical. We need to let everybody from every background know that our industry welcomes anybody to come in. As you say, the talent pool is huge out there. And again, unfortunately, the industry has always had a little bit of a negative association with, as you say, lots of different diverse backgrounds. But we really need to let people know that that is changing, continues to change, has already changed. I mean, I've been in the industry since I left school, and I've seen it change. I know it's changed. It's a lot different, the attitude towards, as I say, diversity, you know, and we need to absolutely let everybody know that they should come and see the automotive industry, because it's fantastic.
This is a great opportunity to be creative in your business, whether it's from garage software, whether it's parts.
The amount of suppliers here, the amount of customers and the conversation have been absolutely fantastic.
Meeting the suppliers, meeting other people from other workshops, we can see how the trade is moving forward. We know how people are doing things differently, and you can learn from that.
So GSF have put on an amazing event called TechFest. You've got manufacturers, you've got brands, and you've got the boots on the floor. And I'm telling you, there needs to be more of this. I'll tell you what, GSF have smashed it out the park.
We've got our partners and suppliers along with our customers and putting them together so they can share new knowledge, new data, new software, and just to elevate their standards and their connections.
The event itself is a surprise. I think it's a lot of fun. I think people seem to be enjoying it. We're just here to have a good time, drink some beer and eat some food.
We had a few talks with Bosch, a couple of people at Milwaukee. I should have been home an hour ago, but I'm still here because we still have a couple of people to speak to understand what's coming out.
It's a great opportunity to network, get to meet and have conversations with manufacturers. I've been using GSF as a business for 20 plus years. They're a great company to work with, and they provide a lot of support to their garages.
Just talking and communicating to people, seeing what their feedback is coming from our products, for the service that they get from us and GSF as well. We need to collaborate a lot more. There's a lot of people out there that are not aware of newer technologies, and it's our job to spread that message so that their business can thrive.
For tools and machinery, come to Machine Mart. Experts in our 65 superstores help you choose from the vast range, including air compressors, tool chests, stoves, welders, generators, water pumps, heaters, power tools, and much, much more. Or just order by phone or online. Look out for our money-saving special offers. Our free catalogue contains hundreds of price cuts and great new products. Or visit our website with thousands more specialist products in Machine Mart Extra. Shop in-store, online, or call.
I hear you've been very educational at this show. Tell us what you've been telling the garages.
Yeah, so the general consensus around the team, what we wanted to do at this event was pretty much offer the education around right oil, right car. Instead of going down the sales scenario, let's help, let's assist garage owners. We see it on a daily basis. We talk to garage owners, C2, C3, C4, different grades. There's confusion, and I totally get it. Coming from the workshop myself, I was only really used to a select few oils.
Yeah.
Going around the independent market though, there's a vast array of oils on the market that they've got to either stock or buy in. So more so what we've been doing is providing that education to the garage owners or the technicians today and yesterday, and it's proved very successful. The conversations we've been having with them have been amazing. It hasn't just been a one-way conversation, it's been two-way. There's been interaction, and every time there's been a handshake and said thank you.
And how important now is education? Because as you say, I think people now understand the importance of keeping the longevity of cars. The thing that can damage cars the most, the wrong oil.
Yeah, I mean, this is what most of the education's been about, the wrong oil. I mean, I'll be honest with you, there's so many 530s on the market today. C3, RN17, C4, A5, B5. What we're starting to see is garage owners as well putting a 530 C3, because it's quite a common oil, I'll be honest, into a Ford. But that Ford should be taking a 530 A5, B5. More metals in that oil. But again, the education that's being provided by myself and the team, it's been valuable to the garage owners and the technicians this week.
And of course, the other part of the education is codes are great to the likes of your good self that know that, but to the consumer, it's just a code. And again, they might not put the right oil in, might they?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the presentation was about yesterday. And there's been quite a few people that have asked for it. People that have come on the stand, we enjoyed your presentation, can we have it? And the reason for that was because we laid out the different types of ASEAs, C1, C2, all the way up to C5 as well. And which one of those oils is fuel efficient compared to one of the other ASEAs. And I always say, coming from the workshop as well, the oil lookup finder that we provide, I call it the Bible. The Bible in selecting the right oil for the right car. And it's a must. You've got your places like Auto Data as well that offer that oil lookup. For me personally though, and this is just a personal opinion, whatever oil you're putting in, always use that lubricant lookup for that company.
And also, as we know, Castrol 125 years this year.
Great, isn't it?
It's a fantastic achievement, but also a lot of experience, and that seems to be now going into education of consumers and garage owners.
Absolutely. I mean, 125 years for Castrol is fantastic. We've even got Trev from Castrol Classics here, so he's provided the knowledge from the Castrol Classics oils, going back to your XL, going back to your 2050, and then the more recent side of oil market from 2024. We're here to provide that education. I mean, there's a whole heritage with Castrol, and going through the stages of the classic oil up until the OEM market today, what oil's needed, we've got it. We've got it.
One thing I've heard as well is that people don't quite understand what an oil change is.
Yep.
Is that right?
To a degree. I mean, there's various types. You get a normal oil service, interim, major. It depends what the OEM's recommended at the certain mileage, time, distance.
But a change is not just about putting in a new tin of oil, it's about a complete...
Yeah, so we've introduced something, especially this week, we've pushed quite a lot. A Castrol engine shampoo, solvent-free, doesn't deteriorate. Wet belts, I mean, let's be honest, they're a massive problem at the minute, aren't they? Rubber seals, it's got a powerful cleaning agent. It's just a normal type of oil flush, but the big sell for us is solvent-free. Put that in. And an oil change, drain the oil, change your filter, put your fresh new oil in. But it's important, it's the right oil for the right car.
How is the industry for you at the moment?
Yeah, so the industry's been really good for us. I mean, we've had a really good start to the year. We've grown year on year as well. Actually, we're in a position now where the first 4 months of this year have been our strongest that we've ever had. So it's really buoyant. And I think that's been supported by our commitment to trying to develop and be better and really focusing on our customer service.
The customer service is the key these days, isn't it? Because people are there for a journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, think it's something that I really concentrate on because I'm not from a technical background. So I'm really looking at the whole experience and how people, I consider us almost like a hospitality business because the problem is that they're buying a product that they can't see. So we've got to concentrate on the stuff that they can and, how we can make them feel with it. Really.
The customer's feeling is a major part of keeping them loyal to you, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I've spoken about it several times before, but the old traditional things that you have in your business that customers could actually feel and see are not there. So you've got to really work on the stuff that goes outside of that. And so we've done things like putting windows into our workshop, making sure that the reception's clean and tidy, concentrated on the journey from what they see when they look at us online, how that then marries when they turn up to our building, and how that marries it when they come into our building.
And you try to relate that to the whole industry, so the industry picks up its standards.
Absolutely. I think, from an industry perspective, we massively need to increase our standards. I mean, what's been really heartening is that probably being COVID and where people have had a chance to take stock is that we've seen premises becoming nicer. People are starting to concentrate on the reception areas. The workshops are looking clean and tidy and smart. All of this stuff costs money, but I think people are valuing that investment now because if we need to, when we're talking about putting prices up, that's all very well. However, we've got to be able to justify the value that it's providing, and that's what we try and do as a business. And I've got an open door. If people want to come and have a look at how we do things, I'm more than willing to do that. I also provide some consultancy services as well, so where I can go out and give some advice on what we've done in our journey and how that matches what I see as the industry moving forwards. Because the days of being unprofessional, I think, are gone. I think the days of not committing to a decent level of service are gone. We've got to really differentiate ourselves from other people that are not looking to develop in the industry. We've also got to keep abreast of what's going on at main dealers because, whether we're liking it or not, we are competing with them for the same customers now, particularly as that aging car park is happening. They haven't got the new cars to sell, they haven't got the new cars to look after, so they're coming after our market.
And obviously we need to keep in the independent market to keep the garages going.
Absolutely, the independent market is what we're all about, and from a business point of view, it's really keen for us to keep that moving forwards and keep looking at how we can share our experience and our knowledge because we want the industry to improve as a whole. That's what we're aiming for, and that's what I'm really passionate about.
I've been to loads of garages and they've been sending their vehicles straight back to main dealer so they can access the vehicle. With Max Remote, it's easy, plug in, and we access it in about 5-10 minutes. My name is Nabil. I'm the owner of Universal Calibration and Geo. We're based in London. We're a mobile service with 3 vans out now. Max Remote basically gives us the key to access these DOIP gateway systems. Even if the car was straight out of the factory, we're able to code, calibrate, and program any component inside a vehicle. I mean, if we didn't have Max Remote, we'd have to invest more than tens of thousands of pounds of getting the original equipment in and doing it by them. But over at Hella and using the Max Remote equipment, they have every single original equipment tool there in hand, ready for you to use in the next 5 to 10 minutes of connecting. Anything we can't access, they can access for us. And anything we can't calibrate, they can calibrate for us. And anything we can't do, basically, you plug them in, takes 10 minutes, they'll do it for you straight away. It's enhanced our reputation because we have the slogan, we can do any car. So with Max Remote, it gives us that ability. We can program, calibrate, or rectify, let's say, the software of any vehicle using Max Remote. Let's say you have a Range Rover, brand new Range Rover. It's had the front bumper change, it's had the front radar changed behind the bumper. These Range Rovers, you can't access them without using the main dealer tool, Pathfinder. With Pathfinder, you have a monthly subscription with them. You have ongoing costs all the time on how to use their methods and stuff. With Hella, it's completely different. They always charge you on every single job. It's not like there's a monthly rolling subscription or nothing like that. I would say it's a solution, but it's also a learning curve for a lot of people who are using Max Remote. You learn more about the cars, they troubleshoot with you, you learn more about codes in the cars, and overall, it's just an amazing service. So you get the job done and you're learning with them as well. That's what I find amazing about it.
Tell us about your garage and where you're based first.
We are a small family independent garage based in Salisbury, which is down in the south of the country. We started 14 years ago. We originally had a small workshop, which we were there for 4 years, and then we took the leap to expand, basically trebled in size, which was a bit of a worry, but it's successfully now, and we're doing all right, to be fair. So
it's worth the risk then?
Worth the risk. It got tight at one point, obviously, with the bigger premises and the reinvestment on tooling and staff and things like that, but it's working out at the moment. So
without that, you wouldn't have a story.
Exactly that, exactly.
So as a garage owner, obviously we've got a big month now. We've got the Schaeffler conference we're at today. We've got the UK Garage and BodyShop event coming up. As a garage owner, what do you go looking for?
It's insight, really, from other leading experts, just seeing how we can tweak our own business model, seeing what people are doing better and try to follow suit, just see what new technologies coming onto the market and just trying to keep ahead of the curve, really. So it's exciting times in the motor trade.
And obviously you get told where you should be going, what you should be doing. Let's tell the manufacturers and the people in the industry what the garage owner wants. What do you want to see?
What we want to see, this one gripe we've got is the dealerships and manufacturers of these vehicles on diagnostic front are security gateway, which I think in America you can go to one company and log all your diagnostic computers and then get straight into vehicles. Over here in the UK, we just seem behind the curve. There's no company doing that here. So you need to register independently with Volkswagen, with Fiat, with Ford, which is time consuming and it can be annoying. I think there just needs to be one central hub, basically.
Do you think that's quite blind for the manufacturers? It's all about they want the extra 10, 15, small amount of money compared to it. That's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so that, of course, but then that holds you back, holds the consumer back, gives a bad impression about the manufacturer, surely.
It does.
That's what consumers say.
And it's the investment side on that side. I mean, a lot of garages might go down the avenue of just specialising in one vehicle, you know, and if you're a small independent, you want to have the net reach of all makes and models, but it's a tricky situation, basically, especially with that security gateway. So we would like a company to come along and say, yes, we can do this. We're going to follow America and go down that route. Your company logs with them, you log your diag tools, and it pings off to them and then gives you the access straight away into these new vehicles.
Quinton from GPA here at Schaeffler Conference. Tell us about your talk today and what you're going to be discussing.
The change in the car park. What effect the lack of new car sales over the last 3 years between 2020 and 2022 has brought into the market. That's our legacy now. We can't go back. That's going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
So what does that mean for independent garages? As simply as that. Because car sales are increasing again with 1.9 million last year, we are entering a new cycle. So that cycle is going to come, okay? Whether this year we are selling 2 million, 2.1 million, that's happening again. So they need to be ready for that. And then a few other points around the opportunities, around EV, around the access to green parts, talking to apprenticeship, market seasonality. I think I forgot one, but we'll see at 9:30, I guess.
And how do we resolve the issue of the old car park?
How do we? First, it's a very good thing. Lack of new car sales is a good thing for independent garages. It means that the car park is aging. If the car park is aging, in proportion, there are more heavier mechanical parts that needs to be repaired. And those cars are more likely to go to the independent garage. So for independent garage, that's definitely a good thing. What we can see, and that's also the remainings of inflation and so on, people are holding on their car longer.
Yeah.
And that we can clearly see. The average life expectation of a car is growing in the UK. The average age when a new car becomes used, so sold for the first time, is what's the word, is longer now, okay, that period, before. And we can see as well, very interestingly, that 15 plus car park, 15 plus years old car park is increasing, and drivers driving those cars are actually driving more of those cars than they used to before COVID. So it used to be those cars, they used to be the car that you use, broadly speaking, to take the dogs in the park. So it's a messy car, it doesn't care, it doesn't matter. Your mountain bike, it's muddy, it doesn't matter. All that your fishing rod, whatever, okay, you name it. Now we can see the mileage of those vehicles has been is more than what it used to be in 2019. People are using those cars for their daily life rather than their dog or mountain bike life. So,
and obviously we're looking after cars better. We're buying quality parts now. We're not just trying for the cheap repairs. That's obviously helping, but also cars are now more computerized. That's all helped, hasn't it? That's all helped.
For sure. It can only help, and we can see that the market is asking for good quality parts. And if you want to sustain a car and make sure that car is actually going to last more than 15 years old, you need that quality part to be in order to be able to maintain that vehicle driving for long enough.
What a great episode! Make sure you join us for episode 8 for more news, views and opinions from the automotive aftermarket. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on socials.